I don't like to look back. I like to look forward. Working in operations is a series of small crises. You have to kind of accept that sometimes you can't have a solution for everything, and it opens up to work as a team. I think when you do things with passion and you want to learn and you listen and you build your network, the opportunity comes and then you just become what you always wanted to be.
Welcome to Business Minds. Today we're delighted to welcome Véronique Gravel, Director of Supply Chain at L'Oreal Canada. Véronique, thank you very much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. So we would like to start by asking to define your role in just a few words so our audience can understand better what it consists in.
Yes, sure. So L'Oreal Canada is a company that hosts 39 brands. It's not only L'Oréal Paris, it goes from Kerastase on professional product division to Lancôme on the luxury division as well. So what I do as a supply chain director, I manage the operations of one of the four divisions. It's called our dermatological beauty brands. Those brands are La Roche-Posay, Vichy. We have CeraVe also under that division. And the supply chain operation is combined of demand planning, supply planning. We have the customer care management also, and the management of projects for launches and promotions. Also, 1 year ago, I was also given the opportunity to manage and lead the transformation of the operations for L'Oréal Canada. So this was added last year to my role as well.
Amazing, very complete. We will get to all of this a bit later. So first, I would like to take a little step back and start with a very simple question. Where did you grow up, and what kind of jobs were you dreaming of doing when you were a kid?
I grew up on the south shore of Montreal, in the suburbs. Stayed there until university. And my dream job when I was a kid, I wanted to be a lawyer. Okay. And I ended up in a completely different environment.
We'll see what happened then. Do you remember what kind of character were you when you were a kid?
I had a lot of energy. I was curious. I was determined as well. I knew what I wanted, and I always made sure I got what I wanted. One characteristic that really defined me as a kid is responsible, because in my background, my parents are deaf. So as a kid, as the oldest kid in the family, I had to take responsibility. So I think it kind of defined also the fact that I was really responsible, doing calls for my parents and for looking out for my sister with my parents being deaf. So I think it kind of defined me as a kid as well.
Wow. Very impressive. We had no idea. Do you think this is something that early on shaped the way you became a leader afterwards?
Probably. It gave me some possibilities to take leadership as a kid. I think it was probably something. It was natural for me to do that. I grew up in that environment, so for me it was more like a natural characteristic in the family.
Okay. And what studies did you pursue?
So this is a funny story, because I wanted to be a lawyer, and then when I started in college social science, I really had like a sudden passion for psychology, criminology, and this was really appealing. So I said I wanted to do that into as of studies. And I was also working at a bank, and when looking at all the school, the studies I had to do for this, I was thinking of, is it worth? Is there a lot of jobs in that area? Is it worth the studies to do that, or is it a passion? And then the other field I was a lot interested in is I really like numbers from when I was young. So then I started to go into accounting. And when I started accounting at university, this is where I entered the university. And it was like too much of a square and fair, just the numbers. I was missing a bit of the action. And working at the bank at the same time of doing my bachelor degree at the university, I decided more to go into operations management, was more into the action and driven and working with people. I think it was the best way of combining the social piece with the financial and operational or management piece that I wanted to touch with the numbers.
Okay, so it was more like following like the gut feeling that you had. You didn't have like a clear goal in mind.
No, it was as I started to study and I was working at the same time, it kind of shifted what I wanted to do in life. Accounting was more for me when I was looking at it, working with sheets and numbers and doing more like audits, and I didn't see myself working in that environment. I really wanted to work with people, and the operations for me was always you're in the action, you get things done, you work as a team. So it was more appealing to me to go in operations management. Also that I was working in an environment, in an operational environment at the bank at the time. So it really kind of shaped what I studied and what I wanted to do in life.
Okay, and did you have any inspiration figures, whether in these fields or in any role models when you were young?
No, this is a funny question because I can't say one person really shaped or inspired me, but a lot of people did. From teachers when I was young, to managers that I had even working at my student jobs. It was not only one figure, but I think everybody that crossed path that had an influence on me shaped who I was today and was an inspiration. When I was looking at role models, I was always inspired by people with charismatic, with passionate people that wanted to have an impact on things, people with authority that were able to change to have an impact or to inspire other people, to lead by example. So I think everybody where I could see they had an impact on other people's life. For me, it was these were all role models to me.
Okay, so like a very human report kind of thing.
Yes.
So you kind of answered already, but I want to ask still, at the time, did you have any idea you would be holding the position you have today?
Totally not. My career was built on opportunities. It was built on what I wanted to do. If it was a challenge, this is what was driving me. So every step that I did, and even from back working at the bank, I started this as a student job in the summer, prepping, processing orders and checks and money. And then I saw I could have an impact and change processes. And even back then, I wanted to have a voice and be able to change things. So I kind of grew up while I was doing my studies. I grew up in that environment. I managed a small team then on the evening shift while I was doing the studies. And then I went to working on improving processes, new systems. So it kind of, even then, it's just with opportunities and with rethinking the processes. For me, it was a natural way of. It's really the opportunity that drove my career. So I think it was more a natural than an end goal to be a director one day, but more seizing the opportunity as they came.
Like a path to solve every problem as it comes?
Yeah, building your expertise, exchanging with people, taking more responsibility. This, I always had the eager to build, to have more responsibility, more task, more scope, a bigger scope, being able to support or to drive the change. And as early in my career to today, this is what drives me. If I'm able to exchange with people, to connect with people, and be able to support them in their career and in my career, it's really what drove me to my choices in a career.
Excellent. And so you gave a hint already, but like you said, you started your career in the banking industry.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit how it started? How was the experience in this industry?
Yeah, my mom was working there. I was looking for a student job. The pay was good, so went there and stayed there for 8 years, growing up in responsibilities as I was doing a full time with the university as well on the side. So yeah, I started there and really learned how to work. So when I finished my university and I started at L'Oreal, because L'Oreal was my first job going out of the university. But for me, I was coming here with 8 years of working into an environment, a work environment. So I think it really helped me when I entered work to have like some of a solid base to face the challenges that the operations was going to put on my road.
Uh-huh. And when was the first time you could experience a position of leadership in your career? Was it in the banking industry already?
Yes, it was actually in the banking industry. I had the chance to manage a big system change at that time. I was early 20s, knew the processes very well. So when the new system came, I was chosen to be the person to kind of train the people on four shifts, so evening, nights, even the weekends, to implement that new system and make sure that the processes were aligned with the customer requirement. So I think it was the first time I was put into a leadership position. Even back then, it was very special for me to experience that kind of project so early in my career, and I learned so much from there, and still today I use things that I learned from that project.
Perfect. Did you feel like you were considered differently when you acquired this new position?
So the feeling is for me is more people look at you with an expertise. So they say that you're able to drive change and to bring an expertise and to impact the way the teams work together, how they interact. So it gave me a bit of a voice in the company. Yeah.
Perfect. And what were like the biggest turning points in your career? Can you walk us through each step, the major steps of your climbing the ladders?
Yeah, let's start with my L'Oreal journey as a career, because for me, my career really started here. I joined L'Oreal. I was an analyst doing supply planning. And then from there, I was at a colleague that a new position was created. And she started on that role, building the position. And I had an expertise that she needed to kind of anchor that new position in. So we worked closely together. And as her position, which was super interesting and a more senior role, when this came available, I was the natural candidate to replace her. So this, for me, was one of the turning points that came. And then from there, I started to build on my expertise and build my network at L'Oreal, and then change position to management of a supply team. And then from there, I had my kids. I had 2 kids during that time as well. And every time I came back from my maternity, I had the chance to be put on projects. So managing a special project with customers, so had the chance to work directly with some customer to improve our processes with them, had the chances of working on cost to serve with the distribution center. So really connecting different expertise. And then I was offered and this was probably the biggest turning point for me in my career at L'Oreal. I was given the opportunity to work into the distribution center. And I had done 10 years of supply chain, which is more you supply product, you forecast them, and you sell them. This is the way you look at the operations. And then when you go into the distribution center, it's like putting a new lentil on your eyes. You look at the operations from a different way. You have boundaries. You work with resources. You work with physical limits of the operations. You have to deal with capacity. The way you used to look at the system is completely different than what you were doing in supply chain. So for me, starting there was kind of it's like I never worked at L'Oreal before. I had my expertise from before, but I had to rethink my decision process and then learn with the people around me that métier that is completely different. And it gave me the perspective of the supply chain and the business from before, and being into the physical distribution team, I could really connect some of the dots and some of the gaps that you have between those two very different poles of the operations. And today, I think it positioned me when I started my supply chain position as a director to be a good fit for that role, but also the transformation of the operations, because it gave me a new perspective. When you deal with transformation, sometimes you have to look at things from different ways. So it gave me the ability to connect some dots between the business, the supply chain, and the distribution center to accelerate sometimes some of the decision making. So for me, going into that completely new, it's a new way of looking at the operations. For me, it was a big turning point in my career, and it really helped me to be where I am today.
Yeah, and when you say transformation, you're talking about like internal processes that need to change to improve what's going on internally. Is that right?
Exactly. So transformation for me, we're in operations. You need to be agile. There's a lot of disruption. One of the example, when COVID came, the store closed and our e-commerce business exploded. So we had to shift the way we operated the DC during that time. So there's a lot of transformation. New system changes are things that are under the scope. There's a lot of things to review and to adapt as our customer supply chains also are changing as well.
Okay, excellent. And so you've talked a lot about this rich path at L'Oreal. Mm-hmm. You have worked for L'Oreal for almost 18 mm-hmm. years. How can you explain such longevity and such loyalty, which is something that's getting even more rare as years go on?
Yes, it's a good question. Even I'm surprised looking back today at all the years I've been here. It went so fast. But looking back, what keeps me here, first, it's the people. We work with so much talent. So this, for me, is one thing. But also, like I said at the beginning, we have 39 brands. We operate we have a distribution center, we have a plant, we have the head office, we have different métiers. You can work in marketing, you can work in commercial, you can do supply planning, you can do physical distribution, and you can have a career path at the plant. So it's a big playground. So it gives a lot of opportunities to grow. And as the opportunity came, and with such a talented people around me, I never felt the urge to go to another company. For me, and it's aligned with my core values. As long as I'll be challenged, as long as I'll work with passionate people, and as long as the projects and my job will keep me motivated and passionate, I think I'll be here.
Beautiful. And you have talked a lot about the people you were working with, mm-hmm. the relationship you had with your coworkers. Do you still feel sometimes that you work for a globally leading company for the industry of cosmetics, or does that, like, this is, we can see it right here. It's like it's a big company. Do you sometimes feel the international aspect to it?
It's the only thing I've known working in a big global corporation. You need to build your network. From the beginning, it's important. When you have to learn who to interact with, I think this is one key thing. But working in a big organization, L'Oreal has offices all over the world. They have plants all over the world. So you interact with a lot of people around the world. So I think it changes working for a big company, but building your network, I think, is very important.
Okay. You don't think you would have made your way in smaller companies?
Probably differently. Yeah, probably. But I think working in a big corporation, for me, what was appealing at the beginning. Maybe one day I'll work for a small company.
Okay, we'll see. And what does it mean for you to work in such a specific field? Do you see any differences from the banking industry you had before and the cosmetic world, which is something so totally different?
Totally different. And this was what was really appealing to me when I joined L'Oreal. The bank is really, you deal with processes, you deal with money, with numbers, very process-driven. L'Oreal is a company with an entrepreneurial mindset. So you're kind of encouraged to work as if it was your company. And for me, when I started, I could quickly feel I could have an impact on one brand. This is very powerful. For me, it gave me a lot of motivation and satisfaction when I was coming to work, feeling I could make a difference for a brand. This is very different from a bank where I was working on a specific process within the company. There, I felt at L'Oreal that I could have an impact.
This is a perfect transition because I would like to ask, if maybe this is the answer, what are you most proud of in your career as of today?
I would say probably what I've accomplished, what I was able to accomplish today. I'm very proud of what I did. I would not change a thing. I've failed. I've succeeded. I've learned. I've met great people. I'm very proud to have evolved, also aligned with my values, always in respect with great people, and always being passionate about what I do.
Did you ever have any key moment that you were like, ooh, okay, this is a special moment in my career?
When I was given the transformation lead, this is something I'm proud of also, because it was kind of, I always wanted to learn new things, so I was opportunist. When an opportunity came, I was there. I'm always up for the challenge. And when the transformation came, for me, it was a big surprise, and I was proud of that because I could kind of combine my supply chain background with the physical distribution, and it gives me the opportunity to work with great people, with all of our divisions, and have access also to very inspirational leaders.
Beautiful. And after such a successful career, if I may say so, you must have had some more difficult times. I want to ask, what was the biggest crisis you ever had to face, and how were you able to go through it?
Working in operations is a series of small crises, and I'm not saving any lives here. So let's say I've worked with small and big challenges. And working through those crises and challenges, I think one thing that's very important is you have to be vulnerable. You have to kind of accept that sometimes you can't have a solution for everything, and it opens up to work as a team. And this for me was a big learning facing those crises. As you face them, you learn and you discover how powerful a team can be when you go through those crises as a team. But for this, you need to be vulnerable. You need to open up.
This is original. This is the first time we ever hear this. This is very interesting. Yet looking back over all this career, both in the banking industry and at L'Oreal, is there anything you think, looking back, you would have done differently?
I don't like to look back. I like to look forward. There's so many things I could have done differently, but it's not for me. I learn from things in the past, but I try not to look back too much. But I learn as I go through the challenges. One of the biggest learning I did is probably to listen a lot and to stay authentic when you manage those crises. You have to stay yourself. Yeah.
Another question that comes to mind when I listen to the path that you're telling us is that one of the biggest, the most important part of your jobs was to be a planner, planning things. This is something you've become an expert at.
Yeah.
Yet in your life, in your journey of your career, it seems like you haven't planned much. How do you explain this?
I'm going to go back to the opportunist piece of what I said before. I think a career, you build it, you do, and then you become what you want to be. So as long as I was challenged and I was learning over the years, and I got close to people that were in leadership position that inspired me. I learned a lot from them. I was always, like I said, up for a challenge. So for me, maybe at one point I knew I wanted to be a director one day. But for me, I tried to always be motivated and challenged and learn. And I think when you do things with passion and you want to learn and you listen and you build your network, the opportunity comes and then you just become what you always wanted to be.
Excellent. So this is a great transition to our last segment where we will focus more on your vision and your perspective on leadership. So my first question is here, in your opinion, what makes a great leader and how do you become one?
I would say passion and authenticity makes a great leader to inspire. For me, a leader is not a manager. Managing is not being a leader. So for me, a leader, you can manage a team or not, as long as you inspire, when you teach, when you learn, when you exchange with people, you impact and you influence. So for me, this is what it takes to become and be a leader.
Okay. And have you ever had a mentor to teach you about these leadership skills?
Not a formal mentor, but I've had a lot of figures that it inspired me in my career. Sometimes it was managers, sometimes it's colleagues, or sometimes it's people that I worked with in my team not a mentor, but kind of coach me on how to approach things. When you discuss with people and sometimes you deal with a difficult situation and you want to have a perspective, have those few people that know me very well, that I trust, to go to and have a discussion. And sometimes just having a discussion with those people where you feel very safe, you kind of have it does the trick. You find your solution and then you say, okay, thank you. The person didn't say a word, but at least just the discussion kind of brought you the guidance you needed to move forward. So I have those 2 or 3 people around me that still support me today.
And with these experiences, how did it shape your leadership style? And today, how would you define your own leadership style today?
I would say it's very collaborative. I like to work as a team. I don't like to be alone. I always sit close to people I like to work with. I can just discuss things around. When I have to make a decision, I want to do it as a team, get everybody's feedback. So I would say my leadership is very collaborative. I also like to learn things, and to share. I'm very curious, so I like to take time also with newcomers in the company to discuss about career paths. I like to share experience with some of my colleagues and newcomers in the company. I think it's important that that everybody sees different path, different way of growing a career. There's not only one way. So for me, leadership is to be generous, to be curious, to be authentic.
And are you able to spot some like leadership skills in the newcomers that you encounter?
Definitely. Leadership, like I said before, it's not about management. It's really about how you. It's what you are. It's how you exchange with people. You can inspire at all levels. You can be a newcomer and inspire a director just by the way you approach things. I've learned so much with some people from my team because they just came with a new perspective, with a new way of looking at things. So for me, leadership is the there's a bit of a natural into the leadership, but I think that when you want to lead, when you have the expertise, the credibility, you automatically lead the way.
Okay. Do you have any example of like one time when like a younger employee helped you have a new idea and change your perspective?
Yes, I had a project I wanted to put forward in a team. So we hired someone that was an intern, and then brought her to my team as we have like some kind of it's not an internship, but it's employees that we bring to kind of work a few months on a team to work on a project or to advance or to create new solutions. So I took that person into the team, and we worked on a new process completely that we wanted to build. And that person, it ended up to be her job, but we had to create a position for that project because the project became a success. But then we wanted to create the job because it was a success. So the person went to the CFO and the CEO of the company with the business case to kind of create the job that became her job. So and for me,
defend herself.
Defend herself, yeah. She was up for for the challenge. So I learned a lot because I said it takes a lot of courage to go in front of the CFO and the CEO to explain the project and to kind of pitch why we need to create a job that eventually became our job.
Very impressive indeed. Do you believe anyone can be a leader / do you believe anyone can be a good leader?
I think if you want to, yes. It takes coaching. You can find a mentor, but I think that when you want to be a leader, you can be a good leader. Yes, with expertise, with credibility, and with authenticity, definitely.
Perfect. And how would you define success in regards of leadership? Do you believe success should be measured more in regards to the teams that the leader is leading or the people the leader is accountable to?
Definitely the teams. I think when you're in a position of management and leadership, when you build a team, a diverse team, when you build the right team and you give the right vision, the results come. So whoever is accountable, the results will come. So I think it's really about how you build the team, how you bounce back from sometimes challenges or failure as a team. This is, for me, the most important thing. And then after, usually results come.
Okay, I have a bonus question here. Did you have any employee ever like pointing and thanking you for some leadership move that you ever made?
That I've made for them?
Yeah.
I've helped a few people in the company to grow. It's something I really like to do when I bring people under my team and my management. And even if they're not in my team, I like to accompany. So sometimes, yes, I get people are grateful, but I'm much more grateful to see them grow into the company. When I see those talents that sometimes were under my management or in my team or that I've accompanied during their career, to see them grow is something I'm very grateful as well.
Beautiful. This is my last question of this segment. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received? And would you apply the same or give the same piece of advice to your 20-year-old young self?
Definitely, it's listen. When I was much younger, I talked a lot, and I think I needed to work on my listening skills. So this was probably the best advice I got as an early 20s when I was young. But then I think the one that was the most meaningful for me is the authenticity, the empathy, but also build your network. I think this is an important one. If I could go back to my 20s, it's something I do naturally, connect with people, but I think it's an important one because looking back today, what I'm able to do, it's because I've took 20 years of building a network, and I think today it makes a real difference. So building a network, listen, and stay true to yourself.
Another very good one. Little question here. What will be your tip to build your network for someone who's young and wants to start their career in business?
Yeah, so when you start a job and you work with a person, you sit next to that person and you talk to understand their reality. So that person understands your reality, and then win-win. So what's in it for you? What's in it for me? You work together. And I think when you take the time to connect with people and understand what's in it for them, it builds solid and trustful relationship.
Another beautiful response. Thank you very much. We will now have our opening questions for the end of the interview. First of all, after all of this career at L'Oreal, what do you have left to accomplish?
The next challenge that will be on my roadmap.
That will be the answer forever until the end of your career. That's great.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know what's next, so we'll see.
Excellent. If you could have a private meeting with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Yeah, that question got me thinking. And I would say recently, I really admired Sophie Brochu. She was at Hydro-Québec. And first, I think the person is very authentic and charismatic. I think it's when I listen to her, this is why I would like to connect with her. But also at Hydro-Québec, I think she had to manage probably a few things that were not easy, and changing a vision for a big company such as, I think, Hydro-Québec is a question it's a conversation I would like to have with her.
Very interesting. Now we'll ask a few personal favorites, starting with the first one. What is your favorite L'Oreal product?
It's definitely my La Roche-Posay sunscreen. Been using it for so many years with the kids, so I don't recall how many tubes I've emptied on my kids and on myself. So I would say that's probably the product I've used the most.
The security one, excellent. Yes. What's your favorite book or movie?
I would say The Alchemist is a book that grounds me. It's a book sometimes I go back to. I like to read. I read a lot of books that sometimes inspire me, but if there was one I would choose, it would be this one.
Perfect. And finally, what is your favorite quote?
Okay, so one step at a time. I think this is a good quote that I say a lot. And those days I also use a lot, it is what it is. Because sometimes it is what it is, deal with it and take it as it is and then build from there. You can't there's some things sometimes you can't change. So take it from there and then build on it.
Another beautiful answer. This leads us to my last question. What can we wish you for the future?
I would say to continue to be passionate about what I do. I would say to continue to work with great leaders, because I truly believe that it makes a difference. The way I am today, it's because I've learned from past leaders. So to continue to work with people that are an inspiration. It's important. I think to be aligned, do something that is aligned with my values is very important. So, yeah.
Way to end an interview. Véronique, thank you so very much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Very insightful.
Excellent. This was Véronique Gravel on Business Minds.
Attends, on répète. Hello, I'm Véronique Gravel.